a great deal of joy to introduce Wayne McLean. Wayne is an award-winning graphic designer with years of experience in digital and print design, encompassing all facets of editorial, commercial, and corporate publications. Wayne is the owner of McLean Works, a digital design company. Welcome, Wayne, and thank you. How are you?
Hi, Daniel. I'm great. Thank you very much. Couldn't be better.
We very much appreciate your time and insights today. Thank you kindly, ever so kindly, for your time once again. So, given your background, Wayne, and what you currently do, if I could just quickly dive into your decision-making process. You were looking for a UX course at the time, or what was the decision to take on this program or to enroll into this program?
Well, I was really just a little bit disillusioned with where my career was once because I used to work in the US and then I moved over to the UK, and things work differently in different countries. So the way that I was used to working, the attitudes that people had towards graphic designers in the US was totally foreign to me, even though I am originally from the UK. I've spent many years in the US. When I came over here, it just didn't feel the same. I didn't have the same oomph in what I wanted to do, how I wanted to work, and the interactions between the people that I was working with. So I really just wanted not so much a career change, but something that will give me the opportunity to enhance what I'm doing. So whether that was learning, HTML, or there's the other aspect of user experience, which is user interaction. Actually building the websites and design. I didn't really want to do that because there's a lot of coding and stuff involved in that, and I wanted to do more about the people rather than the technical side of it, because that's what I enjoy doing when I work. I like working with people, bouncing ideas off them, and helping people.
Good on you. That's fantastic. And then obviously with a lot on your plate, personally and professionally, how do you manage to juggle study time with your other commitments? Is this enabling you to still work and have time with those that mean a lot to you?
Family sometimes gets in the way. And what I mean by that is that I'm a newlywed. So I got married last year. So obviously I have to kind of work on my marriage as well as working on my career. But what I found is that unless I lock myself away, families, because I'm working, you work from home, so you have your people at home with you, so they are constantly, Wayne, can you do this? Wayne, can you do that? Wayne, can has this been done? We got to go out to the shops. There's always a lot of things that you need to balance while you're working. Fortunately for me, or unfortunately, however you look at it, I had stopped working in November of last year. I just, for the reasons that I gave earlier, I just couldn't get my head around the working environment. Things had changed because of COVID, so we were working completely 100% remote, which I just didn't like and I just didn't want to do. So I left where I was working at the Royal Pharmaceutical Society in November of last year. But I found it very difficult to actually find something in the graphic design field that suited what I did. And I love print work as well as digital work. And there's not that much print work available these days, even on a freelance basis, that I could find. So that led me to my change, or in career direction. What I found was that I didn't have the qualifications or the experience to go into doing what I wanted to do. That's when I found out about the user experience courses that were out there. I looked at a lot of them. There's from the free ones that you can get on LinkedIn to the 6-week courses that you can take, for a couple of £100. And I thought to myself, well, I don't want to do something half-heartedly. If I'm going to do it, I want to go with a company or an institution that, one, if I say, oh, I did a course at blah, 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 that will get people's attention. So I thought, well, the first thing I need to do is find a reputable institution that I can be associated with. And I've done work with the University of Westminster. I've done some freelance work with them, but they didn't have anything that I think was had enough gravitas. It just didn't feel right. So when I found out that UCL were doing something, I thought, well, that's perfect. And because I wasn't familiar with Fourth Rev at all, so my understanding of what Fourth Rev did was I had confidence that they would be a good company because of my confidence in UCL, and so that's what led me to take this particular course. So now, and when I mentioned that I'm doing a course with UCL to family and friends, I said, "Oh, wow, that's the college that you're working with. That's amazing." So
that's fantastic. And it is the King's College, obviously.
King's College.
UCL, KCL, not UCL. It's all
KCL.
CL.
My apologies.
No, not at all. It's an important point that you do make. The gravitas, the university reputation behind the academic rigor that sits beneath the content and the learning outcomes, especially. But often academia and industry are somewhat different. Obviously, we bridge the gap between the two with these career accelerators. How practical do you find the learning and the relevance of the content so far? I should let the audience know also that you've completed course 1 and you're into course 2, but how practical and relevant is the learning so far?
Well, the first one is understanding users. That I was saying to some of the people on the course that this is, if I stopped right now, I think I would have got full value for money, because all of the things that I learned while I was doing course 1 are things that I can actually apply to what I do now, because it's all about people, dealing with people and asking questions, putting your client first. What do you want? Not what do I think you want? And that's the way that I believe that I've been working in the past as the expert, as the so-called award-winning designer. I know what you want as a client, and that's not the case. So my success right now is enhanced by the things that I learned by understanding users. That's something that you can apply no matter what you do, whether it's your business or more importantly, in your personal life. You ask your mom or your wife or one of your kids, what do you want? And that allows them to tell you their feelings. How do you feel? What can I do to help you? And I think all of those questions that I'm now asking people. It all came from understanding users. So yeah, value for money already. That was only a third of the course.
Brilliant. I'm sure you're looking forward to a lot more return on your investment with another 2 courses in an industry project to go. How many hours per week roughly are you committing to the program?
I'm doing. I originally thought that I would do, 3 hours a day. So that would end up being about 15 hours a week. And if I work on weekends, bringing up to about 21 hours. I'm finding that because I'm not working full time, I have the luxury of time. But I'm finding that I'm so engrossed in the course that I'm doing 6, 6, sometimes 7 hours a day. I'm doing a full day studying, not only the coursework, but there's so many other little things, resources that are listed in the course that I just go down a rabbit hole. I'm reading one thing about user journeys, and then I'll go onto a website that says something about user journeys, and then that's linking me to something else about user journeys. And I'm finding it fascinating, all the different ways that you can do one thing. And that makes it so much more interesting than just saying, this is how you do it, next. This is how you do it, next. So I am investing, 6 or 7 hours a day. Because I have the luxury to do it, but not because I have to do it.
And that's the, I guess, beautiful position you're in being able to invest that time. For the audience's benefit, we anticipate most are doing around that 15 hours per week or so. And it is designed to fit in with you more so than you fit in with university. So you have a live synchronous session per week with the industry-based facilitator, and then the asynchronous aspect is completely up to you, like you've demonstrated, as to when and how you fit the study in with your live. Have you also had the opportunity yet of meeting your career coach and had career coaching sessions?
Yes, I have, and I've been helped immensely by Maya, and it's amazing. Not only what she does in just helping me with my career choices and what to do, but I was wondering to myself for the longest time, do I need to really get a full-time job while I'm doing this course? And she doesn't tell you what to do. She advises you. And her advice to me was, if I feel that I have to work, if I can do it part-time, do it part-time. Because the more I focus on this course, the better the end result will be, the better my portfolio will be, the better return I will have on my investment here. So I've actually stopped looking for work. I'm a little bit older, so I have the advantage of I have savings that I can pay the bills with. My wife is working, so she can take care of things while for the 6 months that I'm doing this. So because of Maya's advice, I've thinking, well, I'll throw my hat out there. If something happens to come along where I can get a part-time, just to keep my head still in the industry, I'll take it. But that's not going to be my focus. My focus is on this course and getting the end result, which will then reap the benefits.
Fantastic. There's some great questions coming through, and Noura and Matt have both asked, can the course be balanced with full-time employment? Yes, absolutely. It can. I'll answer them whilst we're on that, we're still on that topic, so to speak. It is certainly the case that most students work full-time and combine study with work. As I said, it is, though, flexible as to how you with the support available, structure your study week and get into a routine of study. And one webinar I hosted a little while ago now, the learner for another career accelerator gave some really sage advice to people that were working. And don't get me wrong, there's sacrifices to be made. 15 or so hours a week is a sacrifice. It might mean that the next Netflix series gets put on hold for 6 months, or you say, no, I can't go out for drinks this Friday night. I've got an assignment due on Saturday. There's sacrifice. Let's be honest, but it's positive sacrifice in that regard. But sometimes we don't feel like studying at all. And the advice that this person gave was to make a start. Be it you come home from a long day of work, you've had dinner, and you may eat a glass of wine or whatever the last thing you might feel like you're studying. But if you make a start, you will actually make some progression towards the task at hand. And it might be 15 minutes and you say, no, tonight it's not for me. And that's fine. This is the way the course is designed. You might start and get through a number of tasks or paragraphs or part of the presentation or whatever the assessment is that you're tasked with performing or producing. And you put your head on the pillow at night, even if you've only done that 15 minutes, and say, I'm restful with that decision. Tomorrow will be a bigger study block, that's fine. Or, geez, I'm glad I started. I actually got more done than what I expected. It's that discipline. You can create that with an individualized study plan, but also with the support of your success manager. Wayne, what sort of role do you find and what sort of support, aside from the coaching that you've just mentioned, do you also receive from your peers and the success manager as well?
Well, one of my peers on there is a young lady. She's a full-time student, and she's doing this course. So I'm inspired by her because she is managing to do both. She's I think she's doing a master's degree,
yeah,
and she's doing this course as well. Everybody is different. Everybody has different capabilities, and I've learned from them what I'm capable of, because I'm the type of person that will say, well, if they can do it, I can do it too. And some people can work like that, some people can't, but I get inspired to know that it is possible to be done. So if somebody else can do it, why should I not be able to do it? So that's also come from Iona. Yeah, she's my success coach, and she's helped me to expand on that philosophy. So I do what I can, and when I get to a point where I can't do any more, as you say, Dan, I stop, and then the next day I do a little bit more. This weekend is going to be difficult for me because I have family that are visiting from the US, and it's a bank holiday weekend, and I have a peer review due on Monday, and I've said to them, yesterday and today I am studying. I can't go out for drinks with you last night. I won't be able to go out with you today, but I'm going to finish everything that I need to do. Will be done by tonight. That way, I've got Saturday, Sunday, and Monday. I can spend all evening with you. So that's how you got to work it. Life happens. So it's up to you to adjust what you need to do. So I will be working really hard once we finish this webinar, and I will get my work done.
We appreciate your time, as I've mentioned, to take away from your studies at the same time. I've got a couple more questions, and then we're going to certainly get to the audience questions as quick as we can as well. So do please pop the questions in the Q&A function. There's some fantastic ones coming through. On your fellow learners, before I just get to a couple of quick, more not technical, but UX-related questions rather than the course overarching. do you feel well connected to the community of fellow learners throughout the program? Is there good interaction? Is there, you've already mentioned that you learn from others, but what's the interaction like with others?
It's this, and this is purely on my part. I have a connection somewhat with the people that take the Wednesday live session, because it's usually 3 or 4 of us that are there consistently. Other people join in and do the other classes, but though when we're in class, we talk, is very natural and it's very friendly. Outside of that, I haven't really been able to engage as much as I would like to on the community platforms that we have. But that's just me and the way that I am. But when, as I said, when we're in class, it's like we're all friends, and we're all helping each other. We're all doing the one-to-one sessions. It's really nice. And there have been 1 or 2 people that I have connected with when they've asked questions on Yellow Dig.
Yellow Dig.
So I'll answer them, and then there'll be a little bit of back and forth with that.
That's an interesting one to raise also. So the live sessions are recorded just for the audience benefit, and there's often 2 to choose from, but they're recorded should you not be able to attend live. People can catch it up, but always best to attend live for the reasons that you've outlined, but also for the reasons that you can ask questions specific to your own progress of that facilitator, that very experienced facilitator, and so forth as well. In course 1, moving on to the actual content a bit more, and in course 2, what sort of tools and platforms are you using?
We're using Figma and Miro.
Yep.
Those are the 2 main ones, and then other than that, it's Zoom for the live classes, and I think we use the Microsoft for no Zoom. Yeah, I think Microsoft for when we have the one-to-one classes with our advisors. So we put those in like the Google Chat, one of the 2. But it's it's nothing too technical.
Yep.
So I use my MacBook a lot, but I wouldn't by any means say that I'm a technical person. I learn what I need to learn when I need to learn it. So
exactly. And that dovetails into a question Sophia's asked. Is this suitable for complete beginners, or do you need some experience in graphic design?
You do not need any experience in graphic design at all. There are people, actually most of the people that are on the course are not graphic designers.
Exactly.
Because this course really isn't about graphic design. It's about people design. It really is about working and understanding people. So I think from the first course, if I think there's one of the people is into psychology, or is a psychology student or a major or something, they have a much better understanding of the first part of this course, because that's their specialty. I had to learn that as I'm going along. I had to learn from my experience about people. The second one is more about design, but even it's not about graphic design. It's about system design, how things work, not so much what they look like. So you need to be a graphic designer? No, you don't.
Yeah, and I must say for the audience as well, I think from memory it was close to 70% of the first cohort that Wayne is certainly a part of, are made up of career changes, and then there's some career advances as well. There's a couple of career starters. They're the three customer personas that we have, but by far it's mostly those looking to change careers, and it's quite varied. As you said, having a psychology background actually gives one a foot up in understanding users, which is course one, especially as you've mentioned. We've got others in urban design, I think, from memory. So there's an element of that involved, and they're transferable skills from many sectors. I think there's even a really, I wouldn't be surprised if this learners with you every week in the live sessions as well. There's a teacher moving across into the digital economy and seeing this as a not as technical as a role as many, and he's really relishing that opportunity to get into the digital economy and change careers, which is a big decision as well. I've got more questions for you, certainly, but I do feel it's time to get through some of the questions from the audience. So let me give them a go and remind everyone, please pop your questions in there to do that as well. There was one here regarding the live sessions. At what times are the weekly live sessions? Are they weekends or is it in the evenings or daytime? What time do you do your live session?
I usually do mine on the Wednesday at lunchtime.
Right.
And just because, well, two reasons. One is because I'm not working full time, so I have the day is when I'm studying, so that becomes part of my daily routine. The other reason why I do that is if it's something that is complicated, which has happened before, I can then take the Thursday evening course as well, because so there's one at Wednesday at 12, and then there's one at 7 o'clock on Thursday. So if there's something that I didn't catch or I didn't quite understand when Anna was explaining it on Wednesday, Justin does his course on his class on Thursdays. And sometimes you get the same information, but just in a different way. And you know,
that's a good thing.
Yeah, it's a great thing. Yeah. So, but my choice is always do the first one, and then also, you know, if I happen to miss for whatever reason, if I plan on doing the Wednesday one and I just happen to miss it, Thursday is a good backup for me.
Yeah, that's quite wise. So it is designed again for those that prefer that daytime session on a Wednesday, or those that prefer an evening from 7 p.m. on a Thursday. And someone's asked, do they have deadlines to start and end it by? I think I can interpret that question two ways. Yes, there is a prescribed commencement, and as you progress through, it is structured so that you do progress as a cohort to end up at the industry project together. I'm assuming that was that question, but I guess to elaborate on that a little, Wayne, what were the assessment methods, or what did you have to produce in course one to be assessed on?
The assessments were done on a week to week. Some of the things that we had to do, some of the assignments did not have a specific deadline. It just says it should be done within this module.
Yep. So you build on that.
So you build on one thing, then you do the next and the next and the next. So there were a couple of things that did have deadlines, like the peer reviews. Those obviously, because there's other people involved, so you're going to have yourself. You have to put your review in, and then somebody else has to respond to it. So that obviously there needs to be a deadline for that. What I liked about the course is that they didn't release everything at the same time, so you couldn't just race ahead and do everything. The reason for that being that if you did everything, then it wouldn't make sense to actually do the live sessions, because the live sessions are spread out over a certain amount of time. So you have, you do that particular module, then you have your live session, then you do the next module, and you do your live session. So it's paced very, very well. And you just have enough to do each week. And then at the end of it, it all comes together, and you have your presentation and your report, your 1,600 word report at the end with all of the information and the assignments that you've already done. It's just a matter of putting them all into one document for an intensive
bringing it all together. That's great, because it's not I mentioned it at the start, the examination style of assessment creates stress, is of our opinion, is of lesser value than you're working towards developing your project portfolio and so forth. So you've got assignments, you've got a project and a presentation to be assessed on each course over the 6-week journey.
I think
there is a question from the audience relating to that. Sorry, go on, Wayne.
If I can just add, I think that there is a stress factor involved, which is really good, because at the end of each session, like course 1, you do have a hard deadline, and that's what you're going to have when you're in the real world. So you've got a project, you've got 6 weeks to do it, okay, but at the end of that 6 weeks, you've got to produce something.
Yeah,
and I think having that hard deadline is a real bonus, because if you miss it, in the real world, you've just lost a client, or you've just lost your company has just lost a potential investor. So.
You're exactly right. As practical as it can be, but with those real industry-based elements, exactly as you just explained, involved as well. As you said, in industry, you've got deadlines. Why wouldn't we have deadlines, to a program? And it also encourages the right progression through the learning process as well. There's a very good set of questions coming through that I will get to. I just wanted to explain also and ask you, all of our career accelerators are designed to not only provide the specific content, in this case for UX design, but also the organizational context or business context that enables and should enable, which is what industry wanted a lot more of. Things like in UX design's case, when we partnered with industry to understand their needs, it was things like even accessibility and ethics in UX design that is not always considered with most programs. So there was a strong focus on that. You've touched on the employability, but also the personal development, as you've said, even with deadlines, but also your branding and your personal growth. So it's the sort of technical, so to speak, the organizational or business context of those skills, the employability, and your personal growth. How have you found the interaction between those 4 quadrants of learning?
There is a lot of overlap in all of the facets, but I think it's just mainly knowing that you can do something and then being able to show it I think that's how business, that's how I understand business. If I can tell someone I can do something, great. Anyone can tell you that you can do something, but it's that showing, showing people what you can do and how efficiently you are at doing it is I think that's what's most important. I think does that answer your?
Yeah, it does. It's that interaction between those 4 quadrants that we always build into it. So yes, there is that organizational or business context behind the content, and as you go through, you'll certainly touch more on the employability with your coach. How do you frame that in a way in which employers go, wow, we must interview this candidate, and then in the interview, obviously translating the learning outcomes into tangible, exactly as you just said, and demonstrable ways in which you can sell that to an employer, and then that reflective capability, that personal growth as well. Moving on to some more questions, which are fantastic from the audience. what do most people do for work in the class? Are they all graphic designers, or what are their background? We've touched on the fact that there's some graphic designers, there's teachers, there are those with psychology backgrounds. Are there any others that come to mind in terms of what they do for work?
I'm really not sure what everyone else does for work. I did pay attention to the graphic designers that were in there, but
There's a few.
as I said, there's not that many. We are in, I think we are in the minority. And
yes, and also I don't want to go through everyone's career. What they currently do isn't necessarily what they're wanting to do. They're wanting to change careers, 70% of them. But what we do love is the diverse nature of everyone's background. From teachers to graphic designers to psychologists to there's a software engineer, there's product managers, there's all sorts of different ones that are either looking to change. There's some looking to start their careers, but or accelerate their existing UX related role, especially. And it's that diverse nature that I think, and the transferable skills, even from the teacher's perspective, designing, and I think from memory, she may have been primary school, I can't remember, but if you think of developing a class plan with the users in mind, or the fact that we're all interacting with so many, be it products or websites or apps on a daily basis, we actually are almost UX design experts in a way, in the users of those products and experiences, that we know when they're good and we know when they're bad through default. It's like most of us are lucky enough to live in a country where we do eat a number of meals per day, where we're lucky enough to know what's good food and what's not. It's similar in that regard, and that's the diverse nature of it, but the transferable skills that diverse background of everyone brings, that I think is so valuable as well. Now, someone's posted a few questions in one here. I'm going to get through a few of them. We've gone over the practical projects. Do you receive a project brief at the beginning of the course and work towards it over the 6 weeks? And what support do you get along the way?
Yes, we do. We at the beginning of each course, all of the modules are listed. There's what's the word I'm looking for? The rubric.
Yep, rubric.
There's a rubric that's done, so that tells us everything that they're going to ask of us. So it's pretty much, from the beginnings, we know what to expect. And during that time, our success coach is on us. Have you done this? Have you done that? Is there, do you need help with anything? She's been brilliant.
That's great.
And often joins us in the class. I've noticed that in the live session. Iona's been in the class quite a few times.
That's brilliant. And it's also, I guess, indicative of the way in which we here at Fourth Rev and Kings want to create an environment of almost customer support, even more so than student support. I mean, yes, everyone's learners in the programs, but to be proactive in the support of you rather than reactive. We don't want to get to a point and say, why haven't you handed your assignment in? It's too late. But what we would rather say is, Wayne, you haven't studied for 3 days. That's very unlike you. Is everything okay? Are you on track? Yes, I just spent time with my family. I got the peer reviewing before that and everything's fine. That's proactive support from the success manager. And that's really, really important, we feel. And that's why so many, I think from memory, in fact, this is not from memory, this is fact, that all 100% of learners in the very first cohort, which you started in, submitted their work on time for the first assessment, which is an amazing achievement by the cohort and the supports, and testament to the support you receive. Often there's people that are lagging or things like that, or think something comes up, but 100% submitted. Do you also receive assistance with building your practical portfolio? Now, whilst a lot of that will come a little later, it's the assistance now towards the building blocks that you're putting in place, I guess, now.
Yeah. Well, in terms of our portfolio piece, once you put your assignment in at the end of the course, you get your grade, That's how you pass and fail your course. But more importantly, you get a lot of feedback from it. So, if you got, a 60 out of 100 or whatever the grade is, you have all of the feedback that tells you why you got a 60. So if the wording of your questions, if that needs to be changed to make it more clear to the users what you're doing, then they will say, maybe you should rephrase this question. Maybe you should add this. This is a good thing that you've done. You should expand on it. So all of the feedback that you get once you get your grade, you can then incorporate that into your what will be your portfolio piece. So yes, you get a lot of help in building your portfolio.
I love that. That's a really, really good point, because the feedback is, I won't say where you learn the most, but the feedback highlights the areas for improvement where you can improve further on what you've produced as your evidence to demonstrate the learning outcomes. That is invaluable from both your facilitator and the peer review process. And as you said, that offers the opportunity of refinement moving forward. A couple more questions from the audience.
Can I just add one more thing to that, though, is on the feedback, it doesn't tell you what you should do. It just gives you suggestions as to what can be improved. And I think that's a really, really good point, because at no time on this course have I been spoon-fed the answers. I've always had to use my mind to get where I need to be. And I think that's a good the difference between most courses that I've been taking or studying and this course is it's coming from my mind with help from the facilitators.
I love that. That's really, really valuable. And for the audience to hear that, but for you to go through that, that's true learning, because it will sink in that way as well. Someone would like to know, well, there's two questions relating to you in particular, Wayne, more so than the course. When do you plan on starting to look for UX roles? Would that be after you graduate? Or do you think you will be confident enough before graduating to seek UX opportunities?
Well, that's actually a good question. My successor advisor, Iona, was saying to me that because of the grade that I got on my in course one, that tells that if you pass course one, you have an understanding of the information. You could go out and look for a job in user experience with the knowledge that you've already gained. So that's given me confidence to know that, yeah, I could, if I wanted to, now start looking for work in this field. Personally, I won't start looking until I'm probably halfway through my the final course, because then it will give me the chance to put everything together, but also give me I don't want to wait until I'm finished and then start looking. So at least let me know what's out there.
And it's also the case that people can tailor their career coaching towards that. So someone may, for example, that's looking to do a complete change or a career starter, have a coaching session or two to understand the process, to get the relationship of trust developed, and then concentrate on learning for most of the course, and then pick up the rest of the coaching sessions available toward the end, and even beyond for 90 days after completion. You can engage with that career coach for the benefit of the time in which you may be job seeking as well, which is important. Someone's asked, can I still join? Yes, basically today, possibly tomorrow at a stretch, applications will close for this presentation. The next one won't be until, off the top of my head, November. We do have placements available at the moment, but there's a limited few. But there's also, if you can book a time to speak with your enrolment advisor, who's going to take a very empathetic approach to listen to your circumstances, to guide you through your decision-making process, more so than hard sell it. They're going to give you that opportunity of discovery, but also guide you through the application process. For those of you that are interested, the entry criteria is a bachelor's degree or 2 years of professional experience in lieu of a bachelor's degree, and a requirement of a one-page personal statement that enables us to assess your application as a whole, aside from your self-evident academic background. But also it gives your success manager and career coach that one-page view of you, so they can develop any empathy required before they start their support of you, or understand a little bit about your desired outcomes, so they can also tailor their coaching and support of you as well. So yes, applications are open, but it's basically today. And as a result of attending today, there'll be a special offer for you as well. Last question from the audience. Can you give examples of how you found things to be different in the UK than the US? I'm assuming they mean professionally, because you mentioned that earlier with graphic design differences.
Well, for me, what happened is I worked my way up through my career, from as a young kid, straight out of college. For 30 years, I was in the US. And what I find is that the people that I dealt with had a much more, they had what I thought was a better understanding of graphic design, in terms of how the importance of it to a product. What I found over here was that the value put on graphic designers was not as great as they do in the US.
Interesting.
People tended to, and as I said, this is just my experience. People tend to think that they are graphic designers when they are not. So when I was in the US, there was a lot more trust put on what I did and my views and opinions on graphic design. Over in the UK, it tended to be more that the people around me imposed their will and their judgment on graphic design, and I was there to just, go through the motions, putting their ideas onto paper.
That's interesting. More task-driven than strategy-driven.
Yes.
Really interesting.
Yeah.
Fantastic. I thank you for that. Lastly, for the audience's benefit, Wayne, do you have any top tips for them considering, I guess, in closing, what would you recommend in terms of a decision-making process for the audience?
Well, there are three things that I would say that you have to take into consideration before you commit to this. One, can you allocate the time? So do you know in your heart that you can do the 15 hours, 3 hours a day, whatever it is that you feel you need to do it? Secondly, do you know that UX, do you know what UX is? And if so, is it right for you? So UX can be many things to many people, but you got to make sure that the facet of UX that you want to go into is what you want to go into. And then thirdly, and I think that this is the most important thing, is do you have the right support system? So do you have either, whether it's, if you're you have a spouse, is your spouse 100% behind you on this? If you're young, do your older siblings, your parents, are they behind you? So make sure you have the support system. So those are the three things that I would say, take those into considerations before you make the commitment to apply.
That is fantastic advice. I completely agree. Engage others in the decision, because your sacrifice of time potentially from them for this short period, although it's for the benefit of the family unit or the marriage or whatever it might be in the future, is an important consideration. And having their buy-in. I've got some more stories around that when we've got more time, but you make a really, really valuable point there. Include others in the decision and make sure you've got that support and that they're understanding of not only what you're striving to achieve for you all as a part of your career growth and earning potential and all those sorts of things that come with investing through education, but they're understanding that sometimes you have to say, no, I can't do that now, I've got to study. It's an important thing to bring them in on the journey of decision as well. So just a reminder, please book a time with your enrolment advisor. In the chat function, there is the link to do that now, and reach out to them. They're great supporters of people making a decision. They're very, very experienced. There is a 24-month payment plan option with no fees and no interest for this presentation. It will be available for next presentation with Ed8 in November as well. However, there will be a deposit requirement, and good on you, I think, is the other thing. Good on you for making a decision to attend today or to view this online later. If you want to see any other webinars such as this, we've hosted some brilliant UX focused ones recently, and you'll find them on our YouTube channel that we'll certainly link out. There will be a recording of this sent out to those registrants and attendees today as well. But lastly, as I said, thank you, Wayne, most importantly for your contribution, for your commitment to develop yourself through innovative education such as this. And we can't wait certainly to see the outcomes longer term throughout the remainder of the program and beyond when you're a valued alumni of Fourth Reverend Kings as well. So thank you once again for your insights and time.
Yeah, the last thing I have to say to everyone is have fun with it, because it's an amazing experience.
Great way to end the webinar. Thank you all for attending. Please take the time to action your decision, and we'll support you with it. And we can't wait to welcome and support you in your learning journey. Have a great day. Thank you.